Welcome. Let me introduce you to HypeHype. You can find games just by swiping up. You only need to tap to start playing instantly. And show some love to the creator by liking or commenting. Here's the catch. All the games are made with the app. You can create your own games and you don't even have to start from scratch. We'll help you with tons of free tutorials and templates. Publish your game instantly to become a game maker. Create a personal profile and get likes and followers. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for joining us. Let's get started.
Thanks for joining us. Let's get started. What's going on, Hypesters? Welcome back to the HypeHype Live. We were away last week. I was on vacation. So it's good to be back. Good to see everybody again. Please don't go bald. I hope not, dude. I feel like I'm pretty lucky in the hair department. It's not thinning, it's not receding. I'm okay for now in the hair area. I got so much that I cut it away. All right. So today is going to be a help desk stream. I have a few small things prepared to discuss with you guys. And then, of course, I will open it up for questions. And then we got a bunch of questions here already, and they're already getting pushed off my screen. What do we got? Will there be some tutorials on how to create... I can't... What is that? Centenary type of game? I don't know what that is. Match 3 game. If you want to create a template match 3. So match 3 is a very difficult one for HypeHype. There has been some attempts at some match 3 games, and there is like a pretty decent match 3 template. I want to say was created... I forget who made it. I think it was either Liu King or Potato Chan. Somebody made a match 3 template that was pretty solid. So that is there. But yeah, match 3 has been a difficult game mode to do well in HypeHype. Let's go here to my tablet view. And let's jump in. I got a few things that I want to talk about with you guys, mostly related to parties. So we have been pushing out new party features recently. And the most recent one was the party goals. So now when a party joins your game, they will be given goals related to your game. But you have to build those in there. If you don't build any goals in there, there's some generic ones, just like play this game for 5 minutes with your party. So even if you don't do it, there will be party goals in your game. But of course, it's going to be a lot more engaging, a lot more fun for your players if those party goals are actually related to the game that they're playing. So in that case, you need to do some work on your end to build some party goals into your game for players to do. And that's what we're going to look at today. But first, because it's something that we're going to talk about as we talk about party goals, I wanted to talk about info nodes because we have a number of different info nodes at this point now. And there's a little bit of overlap on some of them. So it might be a little bit confusing to know exactly which one you want to use in which situations. So I just want to quickly go through that and kind of talk about the difference between all the different info nodes that we have. So let's go and grab a few of them. What we have right here, device info. This is probably the easiest one because this is just going to be information about the device that the player is using. So you'll get their screen width, their aspect ratio, what orientation they're playing the game in. Is it a phone? Is it a tablet? Is it a desktop? Do they have volume on? How loud's the volume? Is it currently receiving any inputs? All kinds of stuff like that, right? Device info. Pretty straightforward. The next one we'll look at here is we have a few here as well in here. I'll go grab all of them from the meta category there, and then there's going to be 2 more actually from the multiplayer category. We have multiplayer info, and we have party info. All right, so device info we talked about is information about the device. Player information is information about the player. Super useful stuff you can get from here, like the player name, the profile picture. And then this is going to be for the player that is in the session, right? So, like if you start a session, this information is going to be sending information to the game about you as that player that is playing it, right? So you get, again, player name, profile picture, how long have they played, how many sessions have they played, how many days have they played, and then you get a bunch here that are just binary, right? So those are all going to be numbers, right? Playtime, session count, activity days. But then the rest of these are just going to be yes or no, 0 or 1. Are they in a party? Did they open the game from a share link? Well, own share referral count is going to be another variable value there. How many referrals has this person driven towards the game? We've talked about the referral stuff before. If you don't know much about that, I would definitely suggest going back and looking at that, because that's a nice, powerful tool for you to use to try and get people in your game. Is following, has commented, has reviewed, and then is creator, another new one that's going to be super powerful for you guys. I'm not going to go too much into it today, but essentially it allows you as the creator to build stuff into your game that only you can access in the live version. So if you need to test stuff in live, if you want to have some cheats, some special abilities given to yourself that you can use in the live game, that is creator output, is going to be how you do that. And I'm sure we're going to be talking more about that in the future. The next one is social, and this is one where there is a little bit of overlap because this has player's best score, which arguably maybe should be in player info. But the social node is kind of the oldest node that we have that was providing information about things. And the leaderboard is part of the social features of the game. So that's why the player's best score is coming from the social node versus the player info node, where it might make sense to be as well. But here you get, this is mostly information about the game itself, right? How many likes does it have? How many shares does it have? How many comments does it have? How many times has it been played? The global best score. Then there's the total score count, which is a little bit of a weird one. And then engagement level, referral count, and the name of the owner. I don't know that I've seen that one before, but apparently you can output the name of the creator of the game. I wonder how that handles multiple creators. Interesting. So that is the social node. And now we're going to talk about the two that are going to come into play as we're talking about creating party goals. And that's going to be the multiplayer info node and the player info node. So multiplayer info here can send information about a specific player. So whereas the player info is basically sending information about you as the player of that game, the multiplayer info can use a player index to pull information about any player in the lobby. So anytime you have something, for example, that's going to show a player name to all the other players, that's going to come from multiplayer info. You want to show with a profile picture of a player to all the other players. Again, it's going to come from multiplayer info. You can get information about the transform, the position, the rotation, the scale. Is it visible? I'm not exactly sure what is valid is going to output, but it's not going to be important for what we're talking about today. We'll figure that one out later. But essentially here, so you can input a player index and get information about that player. A very common way that you might do this is going to be with the player broadcast listener, which when it receives a signal can output the player index. So, right, we have a signal here that's coming from one of the players in the lobby. Every player gets that signal. It goes into the multiplayer info and it says, hey, this is the player index of the player that sent this signal. And then you can pass that on to whatever you're making to give information. You got a little UI that's like, hey, so-and-so player invites you to come do their mini game. That's how you're going to get the player name, right? And then, of course, from here, you can also get the party index. And so that's going to go to our last info node, which is the party info node. And from that, you can get information about a specific party, again, using the index for the parties. So the index is basically when a player joins the game, they're going to be given a player index, which is their own number, and then they're also going to be put into a party, and then they'll have a specific index for that. So the indexes, obviously, they always start at 0 and they count up 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's the same thing with the party. Each time a new party joins the game, they get the next number in the sequence. If a party leaves the game and another party joins, I believe they will take the place. I know that's the way that it works for individual players, that the index will be replaced with a new party when they join, or a new player. But anyway, so from here you can get the player count. So that's the number of players that are in the party. You can get this for each player index is going to output the index of each player. So it's going to output multiple values based on however many players are in there. And that works kind of similar to a for loop. So if you, like, for example, add that to a list, it's going to add each number to the list in the order that it outputs them. On completed, I'm not sure what that does. Let's take a look. Okay. So that's related to the for each player index. So after it's done outputting all of the individual player indexes, then you can also output another signal. So that's what that is. Okay. And so if we wanted to use this, we would get a player index, and then from that player index, we can get a party index. Now we know the party. And then from this party info node, we can get information about the party. So, Shogun, you may be asking, you just talked a lot for like 15 minutes straight about info nodes. And we don't know anything yet about how to actually make some party goals. So let's talk about making some party goals. Was that clear? Was that even helpful for anybody? I felt like I would get confused sometimes as to exactly which info node I needed in which situations. So that's why I wanted to go over it with you guys, to just kind of like help clarify what all of these different tools are, when you might want to use them. And now we're going to actually use one. So what is a party goal? I talked about it a little bit already at the start, which is when a party joins your game, they will be given a group goal. So everybody in the party has the same goal to work towards. Again, if you do not build any custom party goals into your game, they're going to be given generic party goals, which is essentially like, hey, play this game together for 5 minutes. You'll complete the goal, right? But like I mentioned at the start, it's going to be much more interesting, much more engaging for players if those party goals are actually related to your game in a more meaningful way. So first things first, if we want to set up some party goals, we go to settings. Been talking a little too much. There we go. Had a little scratch in the back of the throat there. Okay, so we go to settings, we go to multiplayer settings, we scroll down a little bit, and at the bottom there, we have party goals. This is going to bring up an empty menu for you, but you hit the plus there and you get a new party goal. So this is just going to be test. Press the, oops, that should be button, I don't know, 10 times. Okay. So the requirement here is going to be 10. The duration, that's how long the party will have to complete the goal. So by default, it's set here at 5 minutes. This is going to be much, much easier. So let's say like 60 seconds should be fine. And then the probability weight is, once you have more party goals, you can give weight to each one. So as the game is like randomly choosing which party goal it's going to give to the party. Like that's where that weight is going to come into play. So some party goals, you know, might happen more frequently than others. And that's, of course, up to you to set up. All right, but so now we have our test party goal here. So now we want to get, we want to grab some logic. We want the party goal node here, another new node we have. And so essentially this one, it can output a bunch of information about the goals. And very importantly, it can input progress for the goals. So in our case, we're going to say this is test. And then we don't have any gameplay in this game yet. So I'm just going to add a button here and say that each time I'm hitting it, I'm actually not sure if we want to use add there. Let's see if that's going to work or if it's going to make it end too quickly. Party goal started, test. So I hit the button. It's not tracking anywhere for me. Party goal fail. Why did it fail so quickly? Let's see here. Let's turn on the logic view. Let's grab a 3D text number. I'm actually not gonna. That's not gonna be 3D. We'll put it center number. Center. And this would output the progress here to the value so we can see what the numbers are going in there. So progress 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Seems like there's a little bit of a delay there. But there's 10. That should be it, yeah? Party goal success test. Awesome. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I guess it was a little slow there, as we could see, to update. I guess because in theory, it's communicating with everybody in the party to make sure that that value stays synced. But you get the basic idea there, right? So let's maybe look at how this would work in practice in like a game. So like I'm going to go this game that Yelp and I have been working on because we have some party goals in here. And we'll see. So if we go to our settings here, we go to our multiplayer and we go to our goals, we have a bunch of different party goals set up here. Well, I guess right now we have 2 party goals set up here. I thought we had more than that. But so we have destroy 500 blocks. We have place 100 blocks. It seems we've changed the value there. I'll fix this. 100. So what happens then is we go to the logic that we have for, let's go logic, search, party. So we go to the logic. So in this case, what is this? This is our spawn point indicator, right? So this is where the blocks are spawned from. So we have a party goal in here, which is place 100 blocks. Every time we are placing a block, it is adding to the progress of our party goal. Now, the rest of these outputs can send information if you want to do custom UI for your party goal. However, it will be also handled automatically by the platform, right? So when we're playing a game, like it looks like it's just go into a game. So we'll go to like the top charts here. We'll go into a game. Brick Battles. Does Brick Battles have some built-in party goals? Let's see. So we joined up here, and then we have the generic party goal. Play with your party for, it seems it's already been running. So if I continue to play with this party for 4 minutes, then I will complete the party goal. Let's see if we can go find one that has. I bet Hamu's built some party goals into Sprunky. So there we have a party goal. Invite friends to play. Wow. How are we inviting friends? I guess that's copying the share link. Does he have a place to do that somewhere? I would think that he would, but I don't know. I guess he's got to have some way to like share. No info. Get a free cookie. Okay. Get a free cookie. Okay. How do I get out of this menu, Hamu? Close. There we go. Okay. But oh, there it ended. So we can see up here the party goal was completed. Somebody finished it while I was trying to figure out how to copy the share link. And everybody in the party now got some rewards. Super. There you go. Party goals. And that's basically it. So exactly how that's going to work when you when you want to work that into one of your own games is going to depend entirely on how you've built your logic, what part of the game you want to add that to. But I would definitely recommend if you have a game, especially if you're trying to move up the charts, if you're trying to go after those retention numbers, like party goals is going to be a helpful tool for you to keep players in your game, to keep players engaged with your game, and to bring their friends along as well for the fun. So I would definitely recommend trying to think up some good party goals for your game and build those in there. It really is like quite simple. And that's that. And we're almost halfway through the stream now. And oh, dude. Oh, man. Okay. My chat's been not moving, and you guys have been chatting. I'm sorry, guys. I missed so much chat here. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can catch up here now. Okay, yeah, that's the message I saw. Okay, big fan of HypeHype. Awesome, thank you. Okay, why does the start from scratch template make weird maps like when I ask it to make one? Okay, so when you have in the start from scratch, when you start here, you can describe a scene. And it will try and make that scene for you, right? But you know, this is an early tool, so it's not always going to give you the greatest results. It's really meant to just kind of give you a starting point. So if you don't exactly care for the results of what it brought out, you know, like that's when you got to take over and start doing some work yourself, deciding where things should go, what size they should be, what objects you want to use. But yeah, the short answer is it's a new tool. It's still in development. I think it's only really been here for, you know, we've had the scene generation has been in for a little while in a different area, but as this kind of like editor wizard, it's only kind of been there for a couple of months at the most. Question: are custom party goals always repeated? Okay, so yeah, that's where the weight's going to come in. So the party goals will be repeated. Once one ends, a new one will begin, and it's going to be chosen at random, obviously from your selection of party goals. But of course, that weight is going to play a role into which ones are maybe more likely to be repeated than others. Okay. Fun fact: Shogun does the commute to work only on Heelys. That would take a long time. And then yeah, PT following up. Like, can you make one-time goals? I do not believe we have the ability at the moment to do a party goal that would only happen once. The idea with the party goals is that uh, they're always there's always some sort of goal for the players. Uh, okay, so there's a note here that sometimes you don't get rewarded for the goals. Thank you for that. Like, we always appreciate getting some feedback on how the things are working. As I mentioned, that is also a very new feature. So yeah, it's possible that there are still some bugs in there that we need to work out. So I'll share that. I'll pass that one along. Uh, can you add noises? Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that. That sounds like some math stuff that Shogun doesn't know about, but I don't know. When's the next game jam going to be? That's a really good question. I'm not entirely sure. It is entirely possible that we will have some more game jams in the fall, but I don't have any specifics for you on that one at the moment. How can I make the game preview? Okay, so this is also stuck. Okay, let's go back here a moment. We just got stuck on the scene generation there. Um, let's ignore that. So another question here. Tried to import a custom model in the asset creator, and it was huge. Made it smaller, but the collisions stayed huge. So I personally do not know a lot about creating and importing custom models. I would say a good place to start would be checking out on our Learning Hub. There is an article with a guide on how to prep your 3D models for HypeHype. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. And there is also another guide specifically for rigged characters, how to set those up so that they can work with the rigged animations that we have in HypeHype. But all of that is outside of my area of expertise, so I'm not going to be super helpful on answering that one. All right, but let's look at the brick battle. So we go into the brick battle here, and we can see we have this kind of like upper view here, and then when we hit continue, it brings us in and we go to the actual gameplay. So how do we do that? I'm actually not entirely sure. Let's remix this and see if, oh, we can't. He's got it in early access. Okay. Let's go into the create, because there's a few different ways you might be able to do that. I'm trying to remember which tool you're going to get this info from. Here we go. System event. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to set up a camera. In this case, if we want to make something like that. So we'll add a camera here. A nice up high camera. This is going to be our first enabled camera. So we'll use this and we'll say set camera. So the camera's now got this view. And essentially what we're going to say is that is our active camera. And we're going to say on enter from feed, we're going to enable this camera. And that's all we have to do when we're working with cameras. If you enable one, it's going to automatically disable the other one. So this isn't going to work in playtest. Well, actually, it is. It shouldn't work in playtest. But if we save this, we'll call this preview test. Cool. And we actually look at this from the feed, it should work. Let's see. So now if I go to my profile, we look at my drafts, we'll see preview test. So boom. Oh, you know why? There's no we need to fix something here. There's no controller scheme, so it just sees it as an animation, which means you can't actually enter. So let's just add, for example, let's add a playable character here from the asset library. We'll just add our homeboy. But is that, yeah, that's going to take control of our camera. We don't want that. So we're just going to say here, camera controls do not override the camera, right? There we go. Okay. Save. Boom, exit. So now when we hit play, boom, there you go. So a little difficult to test that one, but but also super easy to set up. So again, let's go in the editor. We'll just kind of show that one more time. We don't need these notes. We have the system event, and you can do on enter from feed, on exit to feed. So we could also go here and say like, hey, find that other camera we have. There it is. And say, hey, when we exit, let's turn this one back on. So we're going to go back to that bird's eye view when the player starts. And then we even have here for playtesting purposes, because obviously the way this is set up now, we can't playtest properly. So if we want to playtest, we would say on playtest start, we're going to immediately enable this camera. Now, one thing that's happening here, because this guy takes control of a camera, it's a little wonky. We would need to do a whole nother little string of logic to handle that. But that's not really the point of the question. Okay. What's happening? Wayward in the house. Welcome. Okay, so I've caught up here on the chat. Sorry about that again. I went on a talking rampage there at the beginning, and I did not notice that my chat was not updating. But we have here about 25 minutes left in the stream, and this is open for you guys. So if you have some questions, if you need some help, if you have a problem you've not been able to solve, there's a node you want to know something more about, anything like that, hit me with your best shot. I will do my best to answer it, keeping in mind that I do not know everything. I know a fair bit about working with this, but even in this small little contained field of knowledge, I am not the most knowledgeable. Going on my other channels here? Not much, it seems. Whoops. I think I'm not going to play today. We're going to spend the rest of the stream here in the editor. Providing some editor help. I'm going to go and open up our game with... Actually, we already have some in there. I'm going to see if I can put some party goals in one of my other games. So here we could say, I have this carding game, which is just failing miserably. But that's okay. Um, so we'll open this up and let's see if we can build some party goals in here. So what can we do? First, we'll go to settings. We'll go to multiplayer. We'll go to party goals. We'll say complete 5 races. That should be easy with a party, right? I mean, like each person completes a race will count towards that. We'll say complete 5 races between all party members. All right, cool. So that'll be our thing. Our required thing there is going to be 5. I will give 5 minutes, and for now we're going to keep that at a 1. Okay. Am I going to crash here? No. All right. So now I got to go find my logic that is handling completing races. I don't even remember how this works. Let's see. So somewhere, this is probably also like really poorly handled too. Like I probably could have done this way better. This is pretty old game, so my skills at working with logic are not as good as they used to be. So let's see here. All of these are different races being completed, all of these broadcast listeners. So I'm just trying to think if yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to we need party goal here. So we're going to grab our party goal. We're going to put it in there. This is going to be complete 5 races. And every single one of these on received, that means a race has been completed. So we will add 1 to the progress for each of these broadcast listeners. And this is where, oops, add, this is where me setting this up, I probably could have set this up better so that I didn't need a bunch of different signals here. But it's what I got. It's what I need to work with. So I'm just going to set up all of these. Boom. Add progress. Boom. All right, so now that's set up. Now, once it gives that goal to the party, the players can go and they can complete races. And each time anybody in the party completes a race, it's going to add to that progress. Sometimes in camera node, attaching node object storage and a broadcaster. Why do we need that? All right, so another question here that I'm going to do first because it's going to be a quick one. So related to what we were just talking about from PT Jones, if the party completes a goal and you set the timer to 5 minutes, do you have to wait till the timer ends to start a new goal? And I believe currently the answer to that is yes. So if you have a 5-minute goal and everybody manages to complete it in 1 minute, it is going to be 4 more minutes until they get a new goal, I think. But I know this is something that has come up, so it might be something that changes. All right, and so to the other one, sometimes there is let's save this. I'm not going to post it yet because I'll make some more of those. Is it going to save? There we go. Now, the game camera thing with the extra nodes. Let's take a look at that. So, I think we'll go to create here, and probably some of these templates have it. I don't know which one. Is the build together template going to have that? So we turn on our thing here. No, it doesn't. So essentially, the templates or pre-mades that would have those extra nodes attached to the camera, it was part of the older player pre-made camera system. So the player pre-made needed those nodes in order to attach the camera to the correct object for it to follow the player. So essentially, what it was doing was through the broadcaster, it was sending the target object for the camera and adding it to the camera. Now I think that whole process has been streamlined, so we don't actually need that anymore. The player just will take over the camera, and indeed it is now using the camera offset node to set the position of the camera. So if we go in here to, well, this is still the old turn camera. If we add the new player pre-made, this guy, we can go into camera controls here, and you can see we can set the distance, the Y offset, which is how high it is above the player. The initial kind of rotation of the pitch is like how it's tilted up or down to look at the character. So with this new camera control pre-made, we no longer really need that old broadcaster and object storage thing. How do I make an enemy that can be run over with an object? So what do you want to happen when the player is run or the enemy is run over? Let's go into an empty one so I don't have a bunch of extra crap in here. So, well, we don't really have a pre-made car, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some like super simple controls to this cube. So that we can move it around. So that'll be like a joystick. Probably in this case, not duplicate, I need logic. To make it really simple, we'll do a mover. Boom. So joystick. X is going to go to vector X. I guess we need, well, yeah, okay. And then joystick Y is actually going to go to vector Z. We don't want both of those to be executing. We want only one of those to be executing. And then so this mover goes to here. This is probably going to be like super fast. Yeah. Oh, and it's going the wrong way too. So we need to flip. Oh, it's because this is turned around. Oh, but now that's... So one of those just needs to be negated, which means we'll go here, and we're actually just going to flip. This is going to be positive. This is going to be negative. No? Why? Also, let's attach this. Yeah, sure. You can make it slower by reducing those numbers, but it did not like that I made the minimum higher than the maximum. But you're right. We could just like divide this by 10 on both of these, right? And now it's super slow. And of course, it doesn't look like it's moving because the camera's now attached to it. But so now I have this guy moving, so we can at least test something out. It's not perfect; it's a little busted, but um, yeah. So what do you want to happen when this cube runs somebody over? What do you want to happen? In the meantime, question: could you make a video slash stream about how to work with the list nodes? It seems to be clear, but at the same time, it is very hard to understand how to work and what you can make with them. And yes, I will agree with you. Lists can be quite difficult to kind of wrap your head around when you're working with them. Um, I personally have only really started using lists, I would say, in the last year or so. I really kind of forced myself to learn and understand lists because it really does open up the possibilities for what you can do. For example, if you want to do any sort of inventory system, different skins, anything like that, you're going to need a list. You're going to need to be storing information in a list. Um, and there's a lot of different types of information you can store in a list. So there's a lot of different ways that we can do it, which of course I'm not really going to be able to get into everything in the last 10 minutes of the stream here. But I will kind of do look at a few basic things. Let's talk about lists for a little while here and see if we can't help you out a little bit. So we have first the basic list node, right? We have a bunch of settings here. I think the most important setting we're going to have is what type of items are we putting in this list. So we can put numbers, which is a single value. We can put vectors, which is multiple values. We can put objects, which super useful for, again, example, if you have you have a skin shop, you can put each of your skins into the list as an object. And then data structures. And then this one is even more advanced, but also, oh, it's so useful. Like data structures, you can put multiple pieces of data into one thing and then save that in a list. So, say for example, I don't know, you have something, you have like 30 different things in your game that are all based on the same reusable, right? You have a reusable that has a bunch of logic in it, so you can change the model, you can change the behaviors, you can change with the hit points on it, you can change how much damage it does. It really depends on what you're building, right? But you can save all of that information into a data structure. And if you go here, like, let's go. This is going to maybe be getting a little too heady for this type of quick demo. But if we go into data structure here, or we say we want a new data structure, we're going to say enemy config, right? And then in our enemy config, we're going to have a number that's going to be the hit points. We're going to have a number that's going to be like the damage per second. We're going to have an object, which is going to be the enemy model. Maybe we have, like a PixArt image that goes along with that UI image that we can use in UI, right? So let's say we have those four things. We need to save those four things for every enemy that we create. Now, the old way that we would do that, right, is we would have an enemy reusable. We would set up all those things in one of the reusables. Then we would copy that reusable. We would make a new version of it. We would set up all of that. But if we set it up smartly so that those are all things that can be adjusted within one single reusable, then we can go into this list and we can say, hey, this is going to be a data structure. The data structure we're using is the enemy config. And then you just go in, boom, I need first guy, he's going to have 5 hit points. He's only going to do 1 damage. We're going to set his model from our list of models. We're going to set this image from our available PixArt, which obviously we don't have any now. And boom, that enemy's now set up. And I can continue that. Oh, next enemy, he's got 6 hit points. He's a little stronger. He can do 4 damage. Again, we set up those other 2 that we don't have. Boom, we keep going. And we keep going for however many enemies we want to have. And now this list has all of the information about all of our enemies. And when we spawn a new enemy, all we got to do is within that enemy, we'll take a list value expector. We'll add this as our list. And then we just have to tell it, hey, which enemy is it? Right? These are all going to have an index 0, 1, 2. The first number you see there next to the enemy config at the top, that's the index. So we just put in the index. Hey, I need this enemy that I'm spawning to be enemy 1. So boom, enemy 1. We put that in there. However, we're going to get that value, and then we say get value at index, and we're going to send that to the data structure. In this case, we'll probably execute it because then that data structure is going to send all of that data along to where it needs to be within our reusable. So these 2 would be within the reusable, right? And we would just be sending that index number, at which point it's going to automatically change all those values to match whatever is in the list, this master list of our enemy configs. So that's just one example. It's super handy. Like the amount of information you can save and call in a list. Wow, it's great. But we can definitely talk about that some more. Obviously, the stream is going to be up soon. So we don't have time to get really deep into it. But definitely, I would recommend, it might be a little painful at first to learn the lists. But learning the lists is really going to open up the possibilities of things that you can do and make so many things that can be really not like necessarily complicated, but tedious. Like I was just saying there with, having to have a different reusable for each different enemy. And if you can break that down into just one reusable that is then configured each time it spawns, like that saves you so much work. And again, and if you need to change something, right? If we decided, hey, like we need to add a new value to all these enemies, you would have to go through all those reusables one by one. Let's add this new value. Let's add this new logic and this new value. But since we set it up so that we just have one reusable, we only need to add the new logic in that one reusable, and then we can go through our config list here, and we go to our data structure. We add that as a data point. It's automatically going to show up in here, and then we just need to go through this list all in one place and set what that new data point needs to be. Really nice. Really, really nice. Yeah, exactly, PT. All right, so how do you make rounded height map generator? That's going to be a pretty big task. We do have like a height map system currently in our, I guess you find that in the ground tools. So in the build ground, we can set this to height map, and then we have some height map abilities, but it's pretty limited, and you can only kind of like use this pre-generated fractal. Like obviously we can make adjustments to it, but it's not even adjusting as I change those. But so you can do a height map that way. It's also like a pretty small area. You can see here, like we can already see the end of it, and if we scroll this way, you can see the end of it again. So it's pretty limited using the height map. You don't have a ton of control over it. So if you wanted to build like a Minecraft style where you're actually building out your world in bricks, I mean, I think you would have to write that. So I'll pass along that information about the reward system. It's as I mentioned earlier, it's a still in development feature. So certainly some kinks need to be worked out there. And I think this might actually do it for the stream today. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming and hanging out, listening to me jabber on for quite a lot. I feel like I've spent a lot of time talking today, maybe not enough time reading your messages. But we got through it. We answered some good questions. So thank you so much for that. Next week on the stream, I'm not 100% sure what we're going to do, but if we are able to, we will be doing a HypeHype HQ stream next week, and we will be taking a look at the winning games from June. But that is, of course, dependent on those winning games being determined and ready to announce before the start of the stream next week, which is a big question mark, especially in July here in Helsinki. So we'll see what ends up being on the stream next week. Until then, one more time, thank you so much for spending part of your Thursday with me, asking me some awesome questions. I hope the rest of your day is amazing, your Friday is incredible, and your weekend is off the freaking chain. Peace out, Hypesters.